Hi, you guys. And I'm back. I'm back. I had to turn on that light over there. I'm like, fudge every night. I can't do it. How is everybody? It's absolutely freaking freezing here. It's raining and it's freezing. And I was out all day. Don't be mad. Don't be judging. I was tempting fate all over the valley. That's what I do. I go out. I found my way. I found toilet paper. Don't be jealous. At Costco before the freaks took it all. Now, what are they doing with all the toilet paper? I have not been able to buy it in like a month. And I found it. I found no paper towel though. None. Paper towel is missing. But I did find toilet paper. I found Kleenex. I have Kleenex and I'm keeping it. So there you go. I found lots of Kleenex at Costco. And let me see, there were a lot of people wearing masks. There were some crazy people like wearing kind of scarves, like kind of, because they put the scarf here, but then like one nostril was out and I'm like, you're probably going to suffocate under there. So there was lots of those people. Then I went to Vaughn's and Vaughn's was fun. What was at Vaughn's? Vaughn's was normal. Half the people masked, half the people not masks. And I went, where did I go? I got yogurt, yummy yogurt. I've eaten too much yogurt calories now though. I was trying to be healthy and then I'm like, let me eat 65 containers of yogurt. So I'm a compulsive eater when I'm by myself here like this. And I did that. And then I bought, what else did I buy? Bread. Now I've started eating bread. So I should have probably 10 pounds on me by the time we're finished with this. And that's what I did. But I found all of that stuff. So I was super excited. And then I got a text. I have to turn this because always Marilyn's head is like on my head, which looks very strange. Okay, there. I got a text from somebody that says Israel is going back to work next week. So that's word on the road that Israel, can you imagine? It's like not like there's drugs out there. This one's holding drugs. It's like, you know what? They're going to go back to work next week. No, I didn't get a haircut. And if I did get a haircut, I couldn't ever admit to getting the haircut. So you'll just see the haircut and it won't look. But no, I have roots. No, because if I did, I would do it. You know what I did? I just stuck it with, thank you for that. I saw the orange one go up. I would just stick it, like I would do my roots. I have my bleach. I might do that online or not, depending how badly you want to watch a freak bleach their hair. But no, I didn't cut it. I mean, I will shave back here. It's getting time because I get a curl here, right here. So it's getting time for me to get my man clippers out and beg one of my children to clip the back. That's what it's time for. And hope to God they're not pissed off at me so I can clip it off. And I did a video this afternoon. I did a video. Can you tell us what happens during a reading? I have no idea, but I did a reading. I don't know what that said. Oregano oil is awesome. You know I have it. I have oregano oil right here. This one was at Sprouts, actually, and it was like $20. I mean, I know it's little, but you're only putting 2 drops or 3 drops or 4 drops. And then I have my zinc, and I have my orange drink over there, my black tea, and my tonic water, and that's what I drink. I can't drink all of this. And I took my vitamins. Oh, and then apparently somebody is going to find me the right acetone. I'm not dropping names or anything, but I have a hookup for fucking the proper nail polish remover. Don't be jealous of that either. Because the stuff in the store doesn't work. So I have this going on and I have to take all of these off. And then I'm going to put some cute little press-ons. I know I don't have sunglasses because it's pouring rain out. So this is what you get when I run in. So I did a great video, which I will finish editing tonight. And it's, let me give you a hint. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but he's been dead. Yeah, the good acetone. It's like the good stuff. Maybe I can use the acetone as room spray. No, that might like ruin everything. But this video I did is on somebody who has been passed away for 25 years. That's right. 25 years. And yeah, that's it. So 25 years and he's a rapper. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, you can figure it out, but I'm going to edit his video. He came through and it was really interesting because everybody asked me to do this guy's video and I don't think about it. And I never think until they come to me. And he wanted to come today on April 9th, 2020. So it had something to do with whatever's going on. Easter, oh my God, Good Friday tomorrow. So it's safe to say I'll be eating yogurt again. I'll maybe find my way out to another store. No, I did Biggie Smalls. No, did I? Yes, I did. I'm like, wait, who? No. Yeah, somebody got it right there. Mr. Easy E. Exactly. With a Z, easy. Yeah, he's kind of cool. So I did that. So I'll be doing that. It's Passover right now for all the people, my Jewish people, my friends. Passover, Good Friday, Easter. And I think if we all sit 6 feet apart at the dinner table, it should be fine. Providing you're not sick when you show up for dinner. So, or not. And we could all Skype each other. Maybe we could Skype each other for Easter. Easter Skype. Okay, so let's see the other stuff that was going on. I had these outrageous arguments with family members today over vaccines. And them trying to make it mandatory, like the fool that runs my country in Canada, where he's like, until the vaccines is found, we're not getting back to normal. You know, that guy, you know who I mean? The fascist that runs Canada, communist Canada. Anyway, I got into these huge arguments over vaccines and whether people should have to have them or not. And I'm like, I'm not, because I don't want to, nor do I want to eat chili cheese fries right now. It's not what I want to do either. So, and I'm never gonna. So it's interesting because some people think it should be mandatory, but I think that's very dangerous water. So I had these arguments and I may have been hung up on 5 or 6 times when I tried to get my point across, and then hung up on again. So I will be doing some stuff when I get off this video to get even with that person. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but I could. Okay, so Trudeau, yeah, Trudeau. I mean, he put that, I'm going to show that video. It's like weird. Wait, I'm too selfish. I want to chat while she talks. Arlene, I can hear you. I can fucking hear you. Okay, so we have this this thing from Trudeau. I'll show you what I saw. Somebody put it on my wall, and I was like, "What a doofus!" No return to normality until the situation vaccine is available. Trudeau says. This little guy here. Yeah, that's the guy that runs our country. The guy that during a town hall meeting, some woman was standing up saying, you know, about women's rights and women speaking up. And he said, don't use the gender reference of woman because you are typically a woman right now. And she's looking at him and he's like, use person. Okay, whatever, buddy, whatever. Notice how now that this situation's going on, notice how male and female, they're like, you know, in China, it was all men who died. So where's the other genders here during this circumstance? Like, how do we know they're all really men? Maybe some of them identified as whatever else it is. I'm just curious. So why aren't we identifying them as whatever else it is? If they get sick with this, I'm just asking, don't shoot the messenger over here. Me being sarcastic. Okay, so we have a lot of shit happening. Okay, we have, I've eaten too much yogurt. My eyes are blurry. Oh, I see that. I can't even. JFK Jr. You know, I'm thinking about that. I just don't feel like he's alive. Okay, did Carol kill her husband? I don't know. Keithy's good. I don't know which Carol you're talking about. He's a Luciferian. Are you talking about Trudeau? Trudeau's just fucking aggravating. How that guy got in there, but his dad was the PM when I was a kid. So, I mean, you remember his mother? Does anybody remember this? There's just Canadians who remember this. His wife, Margaret Trudeau, she took off with Mick Jagger. Like, I just remember, like, lucky bitch. But anyway, she took off with Mick Jagger. So, yeah, our prime minister got dumped by his woman, this little prick's mother. I wonder if you know what, honest to God, when I look at him, I mean, do you want to see what his dad looked like? His dad was Pierre Trudeau. And he looked like a typical 1970s balding white guy with bags under his eyes, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. That's just how he struck me. So when I look at him, I'm like, he pretty much fit that, but his little boy child person, I know they say he's Castro's son. That's fucking hilarious. I don't know if Margaret Trudeau screwed Castro or not. I don't know. I mean, if she did, good for her. She went from McJagger to Castro. I mean, you know, and whoever else she went to there. And I think she died. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's alive. I don't know. Love to ask her. Why don't we ask her if she's alive? We'll look that up. I think Pierre's dead. Pierre Trudeau. Let's look up Pierre Trudeau. Oh God. So somebody, yeah, somebody to put on ridiculous. Oh, did you guys hear of on the 10th? On Good Friday, if you guys don't listen to her, Liz, I've never said her right name, Corcoran, I think, or it's Crokin, however you pronounce that, Out of Shadows. It's called outofshadows.org. So you might want to check into that, because if you go to her Instagram, I'll spell it for you. I'm going to look up Trudeau. But the reason I'm saying that is she does a lot about what's been going on. Crokin. It's Liz Crokin. I say it wrong every time, but this is her right here. She was a White House journalist, and then she went undercover. She actually lost her job because she started speaking out about John Podesta, of the Podesta emails, of the Podesta artwork, that guy. She started talking about him, and anyway, she lost her job, but she developed another job doing this. So she's good, and they've done a movie. They've hooked up with industry people talking about how Hollywood and the CIA, and I don't even know the whole scope of it, how they control the minds of the people, which of course we know this. Yes, Liz is great. I watch her videos and they're so good. She's so good. I've done Selena reading, I think, way back. Okay, let's look up this doofus here. I don't know if Pierre Trudeau was as much of a doofus as his kid, really, quite frankly. Here he is. Okay, he died, God, it's 1984. See, pretty much my whole adult life, like I was in Canada another year after that, and then I was gone. So my entire adult life, well, adult that I can remember, this idiot was in office. Well, it was 4 years actually, but anyway, seemed like my adult teenage life. Anyway, this is him. This is the doofus's dad. This is Pierre Trudeau. You can blame him for the spawn of Satan over there running the country. But yeah, so let's look up his wife, Margaret Trudeau. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. He was in office. Pardon me. I'm correct. He was in office from 68 to 79. What the hell is that? He's the head of the Liberal Party, blah, blah, blah. But how he ever got that kid is like, I don't even know what to say with that kid. Let's look up Margaret Trudeau, because let's see if she's dead. She seems like fun. She went with McJagger. She's like, screw this ruler of this country. I think I'll go off with McJagger. I do remember that. Okay, Margaret Trudeau, she's still alive. Okay, so she's a Virgo. She's September 10th, 1948. She's a Canadian author, actress, photographer, former talk show host. Talk show hostess. In Canada, we have to be proper. It's a fucking hostess. She's a hostess. She probably had to go on stage and curtsy to some dude on there. And she was a social advocate for people with bipolar, given her family connections. I understand that. With which she was diagnosed. I don't think she was the one that was crazy. I think she was reacting to the crazy around her. She's the former wife of Pierre Trudeau, the 15th Prime Minister of Canada. They divorced in 84. She's the mother of the idiot who's the 23rd Prime Minister of Canada. And she's also a mother of his Sasha, his sister, brother, whatever, whoever that is. And another one, a brother that is deceased. She's the first woman, I'm reading this, she's the first woman in Canada history to be both the wife and a mother of a prime minister. And she has a firstborn son that's dead. So, you know, that's like a Luciferian thing, right? So, yeah, her marriage to Pierre. She was younger, obviously. She was 18, and she ran into this, you know, she was 30 years younger than him. I can't really talk about that because I'm 21 years younger, so I can't talk about it, but I'm just saying, you know. She's Catholic, blah, 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 blah. I want to get to the McJagger part. I'm not seeing divorce and second marriage. Let's see. Oh, she did have a second one and other people, whatever. Anyway, she's boring me because I don't see anything about Mick Jagger here, but I remember it. Ski accident. Who in a ski accident? Sonny Bono. That's fascinating, isn't it? It's like there was Sonny Bono and somebody else that both died skiing. You just triggered my head, but I can't remember who they both are. Maybe his real dad is in Jackal. I hate Trudeau. Do you hear me? And when people in Canada, in my family, actually in John's family, support him, I'm like, what the actual fuck is wrong with you people? Not that it's bad. You can support who you want, but this is a guy that goes out in public and tells women not to call themselves women, but call themselves people. I'm going to call myself a woman. He's talking about abused women who are being controlled by men. Then he stands up and says, you can't use that gender specific term. Aren't you controlling me? Because I want to be called a woman. Okay, buddy boy. He's one of those stupid people. Lots of Canadians don't like Trudeau. I know, right? I know they don't. But, you know, he just gave, right before this thing shut down here, this, whatever we're calling him, Trudeau person, Castro's son, illegitimate son, but he don't look like his daddy, does he now? He does not look like his daddy, but he kind of looks like his mama. So maybe he skipped the ugly gene of the dad and got the good looking gene from the mom. And maybe it's not Castro, because Castro is like a, you know, short Nazi looking dude. I mean, you know, that hat. Okay. He looks just like his mom. Yeah, I think he looks like his mom. I don't know that he's Castro's son. I mean, I'm just like, that's weird. Like, although Canadians freaking love Cuba. They go to Cuba, like seriously. While Americans have been blocked from Cuba, locked out, Canadians are like, Cuba! There's more freedom in Cuba for Canadians than there is in Canada. What does that tell you? Okay, don't yell at me. It's a joke. It's a joke. Anyway, what was I going to say with Trudeau? Oh my God. Well, our Toronto mayor was interesting, if you know him. Remember the one that was, did you ever see that guy? What was that guy's name? His brother ran from it. Wait, I have to look it up. You have to hear the story. If you're Canadian, I'm sorry. We have idiots in the States too. But this is just too good for me. What was that guy's name? Doug, the Toronto mayor. But I love this guy because he was so dysfunctional. He's dead now. And I think he's younger than me, but he died of cancer from all the crack he was smoking. And I'm not joking. Toronto mayor. What was that guy's name? Here you go. Toronto. Oh, Doug Ford. No, his brother's Doug. What is this guy's name? Yeah, he was Toronto Mayor Ford admits crack cocaine use and won't step down. The guy was hilarious. He was on stage saying something about eating his wife's down below her underwear area, like literally at a public thing. It was the best nervous breakdown I've ever seen. And then he died of cancer. I felt really bad for him though. Toronto mayor is an alcoholic. Well, that's not all he is. Oh, okay. I absolutely love. Yeah, see, the mayor was 44 when the chief of police announced the investigators recorded a video where the mayor lights up a crack pipe. I fucking love some things in politics, don't you? He had a nervous breakdown because he literally couldn't be there. So that was interesting. Anyway, Canada's a beautiful country. I know, it's great. Like, you think you have bad reputation here, you just have to go there. But that's because there aren't a lot of people in Canada. I know, I'm trying to stay classy, but you know, I can't. Because I'm not. I don't care about being classy. If you don't know that by now, then you don't know it by now. But anyway, the Toronto mayor was the best nervous breakdown on the planet. Every time he went on stage, it was like, this is fantastic. I mean, if you're going to look at politics, it might as well be that way. BC is the most beautiful city, province, Vancouver, beautiful seaside city, absolutely beautiful. Everybody comes in from China and over in Hong Kong and everything because it's a direct port fly in. So there's a huge Asian community in Vancouver. And then Toronto growing up, we had a lot of Greek people. We had a lot of, We had a lot of Russian people, a lot of Greek people. I'm trying to think what other nationalities were there. Regular Canadians, all your Brits, your Scots, your, you know, whatever. We had a lot of those people. And I think, yeah, I just remember there was like a huge Greek influx when I was a kid. So during that time, yeah, exactly. So that's my story. But Canada's beautiful country. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Rob Ford. Exactly. Whichever one was a mayor, he's dead. He got cancer. But you know, when I worked at the shelters, the kids, when they had like HIV, AIDS and shit like that, they told them, don't be taking any drugs, don't be taking any meth, crack, any stimulant, because you go right into your disease. So I suspect if you have cancer on any level, I suspect that you will have, your body will move forward, right? No Italians in Canada. Oh, there's Italians. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's Italians. I'm saying when I was a kid, though, it was an influx of Greek people. Sometimes they bring in different groups because Canada's really spread out. So it's, yeah, lots of Italians, I would assume. I just wasn't in that neighborhood. I was in the neighborhood with a lot of people growing up in the school I went to. Their parents were like in the Japanese internment camps. So I was in that neighborhood. That's the neighborhood I was in. And then I was in private boarding school and everybody was Asian there. Every single kid that came into Canada, because it was a stay away school, like a boarding school up in St. Thomas, Ontario, London, Ontario, Alma College, and it got burned down. Anyway, all of the kids in there, maybe there were 500 kids that stayed all year. There was like 28 Canadians. Okay, so we'll call them Caucasian Canadians. There was like 8 kids from Trinidad and Tobago, and the rest of the school was absolutely Asian from, you know, I don't know where, all different parts of Asia. So our school was predominantly that. That was the school. I guess if you live in Canada, why would you send your kid away? Special treat, alone time, I guess. But anyway, there were a couple of kids from New York too. So, but they would have gone under the Caucasian, if I remember the breakdown correctly, because I remember like thinking this is really interesting. It was a beautiful school, and we used to do the track and field and run around. And it had this great gym. I could never get up the rope though. It had like a vault and gym and all of that. So that was cool. Back in the day, it's burnt down now. It was haunted too. It was haunted as hell. Amish communities, yeah. People look like Amish sometimes in Canada, not in the metropolitan, but in the spread out. I mean, whatever. They look like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Canada is very interesting. It has, I say this all the time. Did I burn the school down? No, but I was accused for it. I did get expelled, but that's a different story. Somebody else threatened to do it, and I happened to say what they did, and I got nailed. I did get expelled, but not for burning it down. It burnt down when I was an adult. So but there was a ghost in the school. There was like this blonde, every time you went down to the gym at night, and everybody would like hang out in the gym in the dark. It was a big gymnasium, like where you can play basketball, run up and down. But there was a blonde woman that used to walk around in her pajamas. By that, I mean a night dress, you know, like not PJs, but not a bathrobe, nightgown. And she would walk around the gym. She was always in that area, and she would walk out the back. There were 2 doors that went out into the back garden and then went completely wherever the hell it went. And she would come in there, and sometimes she would sit at the top of the stairwell. People saw her. Everybody saw her. Everybody saw her. I think she actually talked someone into burning the school down. But actually, truthfully, if I were to actually think about it, I think Alma College was probably burnt down as a financial strategy, because I don't think at the time it burnt down. Let me look and see when it burnt down. I mean, I was an adult and I was nowhere in the vicinity, but it's a good question to ask if I burn it down. I did get expelled, yes. It was my MO back then, but it was kind of fun. Edmonton has a lot of snow. That's true. A lot of snow. Vancouver's kind of like, is kind of like snowy, pretty, you know, water, beautiful kind of thing. School right on the bay. Like, it's actually, Vancouver is incredibly beautiful, and the mountains. It's incredibly beautiful. I love North Vancouver. I love running through the woods. They have all of these beautiful woods you can run through. Edmonton has a lot of snow and it's very cold. Absolutely. It really is. Toronto's freezing and very gray, but very metropolitan if you're downtown, but very gray. Yeah, very gray. And I mean, up north is beautiful. Like, you have Thunder Bay, Georgian Bay, all of those things. But but it's very freaking cold. Okay, Alma College was a private girls' school. See, my parents were trying to keep me away from boys, I guess. Built in 1878. So whoever that ghost lady was, she was old. The college closed in 88 due to a teacher's strike. And then following that, it was destroyed by fire in 2008. But it was really quite lovely. I mean, it is if you see it. I can remember running around those grounds. It was really beautiful place if you Google it, in London, Ontario, St. Thomas, actually. And there were many churches even back then. So, yeah, destroyed by arson. Yeah, the demise, 96. I guess they shut the school down in 96. Yeah, interesting. But I can still remember they had every church in St. Thomas that was for every religion, like for Buddhism, I mean, just because we had a huge Asian community there. It was absolutely gorgeous. But the churches, every kind of church you could think of, like every religion, every denomination. So literally we had to go to church on Sundays, or during the week you had to show up at a church. So you could actually go to a different kind of church to have that experience of that culture or that religion, or however you would word that. Really interesting. Found it very interesting. Oh God, somebody said I'm your drug. I saw the pills. I'm like, wait, who's taking pills here? Okay, Meghan Markle's interesting to me. You guys ask about Meghan Markle. She's interesting. I don't know what to say about that, except I can tell you anybody that marries into the royal family is expected, like, to be in there. So it's a karmic thing. He didn't just pick her, and it wasn't her being a narcissist and she tricked him. It was signed up. The girl was born into it, and it was going to happen. In other words, that's a karmic thing, because these people are, yeah, no, hey, every time they say Meghan Markle is the, home wrecking whore, whatever they say about her, or narcissist or evil or blah, 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 whatever they say, you got to remember the prince, Harry, the little redheaded cute one, he's like, that's who I want to sleep with. So it's up to him, because he has to sleep with her. So if he picked her, he must like her. Like, we usually sleep with who we like, right? So when I hear people say that, I'm like, so you're giving him no credit. She's just like this maniacal bitch that took over the royal prince's life just completely, and he had no say-so because he's a zombie man. I mean, that's kind of what they believe, like when they, okay, I should shut up now. Anyway, in certain countries where they cover the women from head to toe because they don't think the men have any like control over seeing what they're seeing. I think the men are equally responsible for who they choose to sleep with, right? There is a picture here of a spirit cooking party before Harry. Okay. Well, I'm sure she did. Hey, that's what I'm saying. Anybody in that level of power is probably using something to get there, and their souls are assigned before they even come in. No, I don't think they left the royal family. I think they're just pissing off the queen. She's like 93. Why not piss the old bitch off, right? I mean, it's just like grandmother is bugging everybody. I mean, she's kind of like judgy, and she has no right to be judgy. I mean, did she ever like stop again to check out her wardrobe before she goes judgy? I know the queen is, you know that I dislike the queen immensely, but still, she was rude, regardless of what they are, whether that girl is half black, half white, half polka dotted. For her to actually do that, oh, she was being interviewed and she took little Meghan's picture down there, is kind of, the queen is, yes, I know what the queen is, but it's still, she's also a racist, just so we get to that point. And apparently a reptilian. See, reptilian's an interesting thing, because I don't know, reptilian in my mind refers to, like, I know it's lizard people. I know that. But when I think of it, I think of like reptilian mind as the very primitive mind in the back, kind of like the very primitive part of the brain. So I don't necessarily think of it as, oh, of course the queen, the Princess Di was murdered. She told me that. So Lizzie left the planet. Lizzie, oh, I get it. It's lizard people. Lizzie. Yeah, I don't know. The reptilian, I have a hard time with that one, but I mean, if there were an alien entity, I'm more apt to see entities coming into people's body, and maybe a reptilian is an entity, demonic entity, and shapeshifts into a reptilian. Could very well be. Yes, she did the First Nation kids, absolutely. She took the kids off the reserve. She did all of that. Everybody knows this. It's not like if you check the Queen, because the Queen has flight records. So anytime royalty visits a country, Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, anywhere, Australia, wherever in the Queen's Commonwealth, they have it recorded. And so when those kids went missing, and apparently it wasn't an orphanage, the one in Kamloops, it was, I thought it was an orphanage, but apparently it was just a school. So they weren't even orphaned. These kids went to school there, and then she took these kids at lunch, like they had families apparently. I thought it was an orphanage though, but I'm gonna have to look that up anyway. Anytime the Queen travels throughout the British Commonwealth, they have it logged in her flight itinerary, and you can actually Google right now when she was in Canada, and it fits those months when those kids went missing, when they say she went to take them for lunch. What is that? That's like you know, your grandmother, oh my God, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Little Red Riding Hood, right? What big eyes you have, all the better. What big teeth, all the better to eat you with. I mean, that's where that came from. That shit, these shitty childhood. She did steal the children. She did. She did take them. And it's disgusting. And nobody says a word. Like nobody says. Somebody needs a reading. I need a reading. I need a reading. I need one. But yeah, no, the queen, I know what she did. I can't even think about it. I think truthfully, I think really truthfully, when I think what's going on is when people find out what, I mean, the Queen, this is common knowledge. Like in my childhood, as crazy as I was, this was not something that wasn't spoken about. It was spoken about in all kinds of circles, as many as 1,500 kids, all the way from Quebec, all the way down. And they slaughtered Native kids in Canada when I was growing up. There were several instances where army troops, or I don't know what they call them in Canada, but these are things that went on that were talked about, that you heard about, that you didn't witness, but you heard about it. So you're like, these things actually happened. So the Queen, I mean, it's common knowledge. Children in the Attic. Oh my God. Now I know what that movie, you just flip my head out. And that they do that. Now it makes you wonder. Remember that guy in Amanda Berry, the one, that little girl that was held hostage, do you remember? In Seattle, Oregon, wherever she was. That little Amanda Berry, remember the one that Sylvia Brown told the mother, no, she's dead? But actually, I have to side with Sylvia on this. She said, you will see your daughter in heaven. So the mom is dead now and didn't know her daughter was found. So technically that's an accurate reading, just backwards. Psychics get stuff sometimes and it's not necessarily 100% right. People are like, come on, Oracle, speak. And they slap you on the back. And it's like, it's not always right. Cleveland, thank you. So that Amanda Berry, that's the only little girl I can remember her name. The three girls, when you think of that guy, he kidnapped those three girls and held them in a house. None of his fucked up relatives said, excuse me, dude, why do you have your living room blocked off? Like, I know if I'm going to visit my uncle's house, I'm going to be like, you know, what the hell's with your basement? And I'm going to go down there. I'm going to climb through a window. I'm going to see what's going on there. Just me as a kid visiting. This is what I'm going to do. I did a Madeleine McCann video. That's what I've done one on that. Yeah, those girls. But it's interesting because when you think of the mentality of the guy that did it, and then he killed himself, I believe, on trial or before trial, and she had his daughter, yeah, or a baby, and she saved herself. She finally saved herself because she wanted to save her child, and that was the blessing that God gave her. As much as it's a child through conception through rape, look at the blessing that kid was. She had a baby, and she didn't want him to get her baby, so she took a son, daughter, whatever, her child. She took the strength to save herself and the other girls with the child. I mean, like, whichever one had the baby. Anyway, when you think about it, that guy, the hostage taker, where did he come up with this idea? Where did that happen from? Is it a strand of thought that some of us, not us, the Queen, yeah, Margaret Trudeau is alive. I figured that out. I'm going to ask her if she slept with Trudeau. I think I might try to find her and ask her that. I want to know if her kid is from Trudeau. I can't even. Anyway, I mean Trudeau, Castro. Either one of them, I can't even. But anyway, the queen, when she does stuff like that, and there's rituals going on that do stuff like that, you understand that somebody, if we're all connected through a strand of thought, some loser in Cleveland could very much get that idea in his head out of the blue. If a demon mindset came because he's drinking, he's smoking crack, whatever, the demon gets in there and boom. Now, just to give you an example of that, if you, oh, the Memphis 3, yeah, that story is so disturbing to me. I'm not buying any of it. I looked into that and it's so, I don't necessarily think it was the 3 men, young boys or whatever kids that they put in jail. I don't necessarily think that. I honestly, in my gut, went with one of the stepfathers. I can't remember which one it was. I mean, maybe it was 2 of them or something with the stepfather, but it was orchestrated by a family member, in my opinion. I remember feeling it. However, some of those Memphis 3, one of them to me does not look like he's on the team of Jesus or God or anything. Doesn't look like that to me, but I feel like it really was one of the stepdads. I really did. And I could feel the energy of it. And that is such a horrific thing to do. Like, what is wrong with you? And so it's some kind of jealousy and some kind of rage and some kind of perversion, okay? Something along those lines. But it's interesting. I wanted to say that when somebody does a lot of drugs or alcohol, they open themselves up to things coming in to their body. So when you look at Harvey Weinstein, who apparently, and I'm going to say it because I like the word, had a mangina. That's like the brosier on Seinfeld. There I am, Seinfeld reference. The man's ear, not the bro's ear, the man's ear. Anyway, Weinstein had a mangina. In other words, they said that it looked like he'd been castrated. He had some surgery. That's in the court paperwork. I'm not making up shit off the top of my head. That's in that. However, it's interesting. When you looked at Harvey Weinstein at like the Oscars, or with Charlize Theron, or, you know, I was going to call her Mildred, Meryl Streep. When you look at him with them, he stands up tall. I mean, he's a hideous looking man. He looks like, he kind of reminds me of like a kangaroo rat, and not a cute one, really. I just imagine these big feet and that face standing up, and it's like this, and he's going to chew through your car engine wires and like fuck your car up, right? That's what he reminds me of. So he is a snitch. But when you looked at him in any of those pictures, his posture was up. I mean, he's hideous, but his posture is up. So like he steps into confidence. This is a very good example of when there is an attachment to a soul. You can say spirit cooking, you can say whatever you want. When they spirit, he's a troll, yeah, but a kangaroo rat, really. That's what I'm seeing. With big floppy feet and like, but when you're doing spirit cooking, what they're doing, for example, spirit cooking, they're grabbing like an object, usually some kind of like a clown doll, like a clay mold of a little girl, whatever. And what they do is they conjure the energy into the inanimate object and they grow it from there. That's one way that they do it, okay? So that keeps souls in it. The other way that they do it with the spirit cooking is they actually use the ingredients that they have, and they compile it like kind of like a living clay mesh mold type of thing. And they make it, and as they're making it, it starts to vibrate. But you have to understand, when you pull an entity into your energy field, when you do that, the entity has no life of its own. It does not have the energy of the human. The human is captured energetically. Obviously, the human looks the same, like Harvey Weinstein, but the entity, of which he probably had a bunch of them, steps into the person acting on behalf of the unseen energy has to attach itself to like energy plugs or like electrical. So other people are electrical. So when Harvey attached himself to all of these women, he was basically stealing their life force. Yes, it was rape, but that's what he was doing. And when you look at the serial killer's energy, they are outside of their physical body. The serial killer's soul, the person that they were before they became the serial killer, is over there. Something else is driving the ship. Now, if you look at Harvey Weinstein now in the pictures on the news or the media or wherever they do them, he is like, how I see him, he's hunched over like this because the entity is being pushed out. So they're left with the capsule, but the capsule hasn't had human in it for a long time. It's a hard concept, and it sounds like I'm mentally ill as I'm saying this, but it is part of the metaphysical, whether people want to accept that or not. I can't help it. I mean, I'm not the one that wrote The Exorcist, okay? But it was written for a reason, and it wasn't written because there was no such thing. The Catholic Church, not that I'm a fan or not a fan, but one of their beliefs is that people can become possessed by energies which are not of this earth. And they are the ones that believe it, and they have money to fund priests to go out and to do this. It happens. If you've seen it, you know it. You can see it in their eyes. And by the way, when you speak truth on the planet and you, I know I'm always moving into the camera. I would have been no good on the nightly news. I could not have sat still. He looks like a warthog. Yes. And a kangaroo rat, a warthoggy kangaroo rat with, I just see his feet and he's like, like this. But when you look throughout any kind of scripture, they talk about deities coming in. They are donkey. They talk about entities coming into the physical body. And so they do come in. People don't believe it. People just think like this is a human. The more that you see them and the more that you are aware of them, I've had people sit down in front of me, come in for a reading, and literally when I look at them, I recognize they're not in the same mind space as me. And I've had many people where they'll turn and say something and it's not them, it's something in them. Now, here's the problem. Now that I'm talking about this, here's the problem with that. People that are on drugs, smoking crack, shooting up, whatever, they know shit comes into them because they're doing the drug. Where do they think they go when they nod off? Okay. They may not understand it intellectually, but when you do that, you are leaving your body. You really are. I don't care what anyone says. They can call me cuckoo bird, whatever. I'm fucking way beyond that. But I mean, like in my head, go ahead and call me cuckoo. That's good. Get in line. So when they do the drugs and they cross out and they have these experiences on the astral level and stuff, something is in them. Okay. And by the way, I believe all drugs. That's why I don't do them. I'm not saying I wouldn't do them. I wouldn't shoot up. That's for sure. Not at this point in my life. I wouldn't. Anyway, when they do that, something is stepping into them. So for people not to know that, and that's a huge problem. If you are empathic and naive and a beautiful little person in, say, like a foreign country where you don't have much exposure to anything, you're just running around being your kid self, and you're really open, of an open heart vessel, and you're loving and trusting, they can come right in that way. They can come right in that way too. So a lot of people do not spiritually cleanse themselves. They don't pray. They don't bath in salt. They don't strengthen their connections chakra-wise. They don't do this stuff because they don't even think it exists. So we have been missing out on educating tons of people throughout life. And sage, I have a funny thing with sage. When you sage a house, I've actually had ghosts stand, or entities that won't leave, stand in front of me and just be like, yeah, and walk right through, like they don't care. The sage works, sweetgrass works, cedar works, all of these things work. But when you're talking about a demon or a possession, that's an entirely different thing. You actually have to call in stronger God type energies to get that out, to bring the person back to normal. It's a lot more integral than what they say it is, but it's not just sage and the demon spirit's going to go away. But what I can tell you, as much as they can terrify you, as much as they can do bullshit to you, as much as they can do all of that, they do not have power over you without your permission. They can scare you, like Poltergeist movie, like all of that, but they cannot overtake your body unless you give them permission. So these people, such as Weinstein, now known as a warthog, piggy face motherfucker, him, he had to allow at some point in his life, he literally had to say, I'm agreeing to this. And once he agreed to that, the entities came right in and the person got shoved out. That's why when you sell your soul, which again, I'm going to reiterate, you can't sell something you don't own. However, they are tricked. And sometimes, like Meghan Markle coming into her body, she's been claimed down. She's been claimed down and already born into it and has no idea. She's a kid and she's just like, I'm going to do this. And it's as she grows, her awareness will grow. But that's like a hostage taking on the other side. Or in a past life, somebody like Weinstein, somebody like the Queen, comes from a long line of behaving like shit for brains, doing this, okay, throughout hundreds of years. These people have been doing this. They used to throw kids in the volcanoes, okay? Like it's not like we're civilized, okay? Look what goes on out there. But we're not. We're a bunch of just, seriously. But when you look at stuff like the Queen, let's say the Queen died and she didn't get where she was going, whatever that is, hell, heaven, wherever she thinks she's going to rule another planet. So she doesn't get there. So she gets caught in the loop of incarnation. Well, she's not going to come back as a nice person. She's going to come back in and be claimed down again and do some other shit. Like it goes through lifetimes because you can only sell your soul in one lifetime. And you can't really sell it because God owns it. Having said that, you agree to do that, okay? You agree to do that. And so after that life, then you come back in and there's a whole bunch of sacrificing other people, but it's all trickery because the devil or the satanic or the Luciferian or the evil or the dark or whatever you want to call it never lives up to itself. It never lives up to who it is. It's always a lie. So it's quid pro quo and you're never going to get it. So you're chasing, no, it's my belief actually. You don't get it. You may get it for a second here, but I've seen the souls go out. So I'm talking metaphysically within work. You can do whatever you want. You can, Charlie Sheen is the devil. Well, he certainly is a motherfucker and a prick and whatever. But you can agree to do whatever you want. Okay, who's saying that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. Satan does speak in lies. That's exactly right. But my experience metaphysically, and I have seen people that have demons in their energy field. I have not seen a complete possession like The Exorcist. I've never seen that. But I have seen demons that come in and speak through people who were on drugs, people I knew that I was around, who were on serious drugs. And I've seen it in the midst of them being on drugs. I've literally seen them step out, challenge and do stuff. That's just part of the metaphysical. It's not part of it. My understanding, when I see them on the other side, okay? So when I see these people on the other side, like when I go somebody who has agreed to this and I see them after they've passed, they are way the fuck away from anything, off in the corner. They're held off. And then people that cross into a good space go somewhere different. So I've seen it. And sometimes they're held for a long time. You step away. What it is it's the absence of God. So call it whatever you want, but it's the absence of God. And so when you agree to that, to get your financial wealth on earth, because what they're saying to these people, and ask Nicole Kidman, she's not going to answer us, but I've mentioned this 1,000 times. She was born into one of these families. Her father was brought up on child hunting charges. Hunting, not rape. Well, I mean that as well, but hunting, hunting, child hunting. Okay. So, sorry, my phone's ringing. Brought up on child hunting. She was brought up in a family like that. Look at her eyes. Just look at her eyes. They can only hold the energy. Now I'm talking when an entity has taken over. They can only hold the energy of a person that they're around. Okay, that they're around. Oh shit. I just called back. I just called back. Hold on. Let me just do this. Let me tell YouTubing. Sorry, YouTubing. Okay. I almost called them back. But when you look in their eye, Whitney Houston for sure. Whitney Houston is in between. Whitney Houston is pissed. Let's look at George Bush Sr., okay? Not dum-dum, but senior, okay? George Bush Sr. The reason that he chose to leave his life when he did, okay, at the moment that he did, what was he, 98, 97, something like this, is because they literally believe the exit point on Earth, okay? The exit point on Earth. When the physical body shuts down, these people actually believe they're going to go into the astral like they've been doing it. If you've ever astral traveled, if you've ever left your body, if you've ever done it, you are on the astral levels. It's a fact. I mean, I can't prove it to you. You have to go do it yourself. But, you know, it's something I've done my entire life, not on purpose. It was just natural. And then you can do it on purpose. But somebody like George Bush, when he passes away at the time that he did, he believes he's going to cross off of the earth and basically rule in another space. That's what they're going to do, okay? So they're going to know that. That's what's going to happen. But once they cross out, that's not where they go because it's a freaking lie. I mean, you can't. There's so many different levels. That Billie Eilish or Eilish, whatever her name is, just look at her. She's mimicking a possession, right? Whitney Houston is pissed. I did several videos on Whitney Houston. You have to go back in the videos to look. Bohemian Grove is true. They're born into these families where they do these things. This is what they do. They actually are raised in this. Just like you're raised Catholic or Jewish or Buddhist or whatever, Scientologist, whatever it is, Protestant, Anglican, Jehovah's Witness, whatever. This is what happens. So it is something. The Bermuda Triangle is a portal. It's actually a portal, okay? So it's an earth chakra. So the chakra is a whirling energy field, and a portal just opens that up wider. That's what the Bermuda Triangle is. And not everybody goes missing in the Bermuda Triangle. They just say that shit. But when you're looking at things like possession or entities coming around, there are, as I've said, religions all over the world where they conjure them up. Spirit cooking is a form of, they are making like a golem, and they are putting a soul, they are capturing an energy, putting it into there and growing it to have it work for them. So it's a capture slave type of thing. People do it all the time, but if they're running this country, they are doing it. I mean, it sounds very freaking weird, but you don't think, I'm just asking, I mean, call me a dumbass, but you really don't think that these people who supposedly, okay, so we've got Joe Biden out there right now. So that's whatever. So Joe Biden is whoever he is, but do you think that guy should be running considering that it looks like he might have dementia? So ask yourself, why is anybody who cares for this man letting him out there? He's not, there's something not right there. Like he strikes me as if he has the beginning of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever. That's what he strikes me as. And I'm like, so they're going to keep letting him go out? Why is he running the ship when he doesn't seem like he's right? It just doesn't seem like it's right to me. I mean, I could be crazy, but it doesn't seem, that seems like abusive actually. Like, so let's put this guy out there. And of course, if Trump's going to debate him, he's going to make him look like a jackass. And it's abusive because it doesn't seem like he has his mind, his wherewithal around. No, I know no one cares about him. That's the problem though. Even if he's a vile, grabby, touchy, pedophile kind of person, which I believe him to be, still, he's not mentally well. You can tell it. So why as a society are we allowing this? Why isn't somebody just saying he doesn't seem well? Like, where's a press person? Where's anybody who cares? No, they're just going to put him out there to make him look ridiculous. Okay. It's absurd to me because he doesn't seem mentally congruent in his thoughts. So I don't know what to say about that, but that's how I feel about it. So I don't think he should be out there doing it. Is Trump possessed? Yeah, I have no idea. I can't see their eyes close enough. Exactly. I'm assuming that all politicians at some point, and I'm going to say it again when you guys ask me, I do not on any way believe in government the way that it's structured now. So nobody in government is impressive to me because the fact that they're in government. Okay, the way that it's run, it's corrupt, period. You're not going to get through the corruption. I trust none of it. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not on the side of anybody because, well, number one, it's mainly men. And sorry, but they speak out both sides of their mouth. It is corrupt. They get payoffs. And no, I'm not going to trust these men. I don't want these men telling me what to do. Are you kidding me? No. No. And so I don't go there. People think I do, but I don't. I just either agree with an idea or I don't. Okay. So, what can I tell you? Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the possessions, all of those things, like if you go in any store in Los Angeles, I can only speak for Los Angeles right now, but any metaphysical store, you're going to see that they have the spirit cooking the candles geared towards pulling in entities to help you do the work. There's even witch wars that go on in Los Angeles between one store and another store where they send out demons to screw up the other store. I mean, that shit goes on. I can't help it if people don't believe it, but they're more apt to just believe that this world is fair and that everybody's nice and that the government has your best interest at heart. Okay, well, that's good for you. I don't believe it works that way from what I'm seeing with my own eyes. Exactly. So I don't know what to say about it, but that it is a true thing. So getting back to whoever said that, is it my opinion or belief? It's actually truly my belief that if you give away the rights to your soul in this life, which you don't have the right to do, but you may be tricked into thinking you do, you are not going to get where you think. You will never get the rewards. You will get part of it or you'll get some of it, but you will not get what you want because it's removing yourself from the existence of God. And it's fine that you have another God, but if you give up your soul, you'll find out. I mean, they find out in a second. This is what gives them nervous breakdowns. When they start to remember, because they compartmentalize them, they ground them into a different way of thinking. So imagine if 3 people lived in your body. So there's you, who are your original self. There's entity number 1, and entity number 1 is like a big, tall, like hippie dude that is all into like sex and rock and roll and weed. And then you've got entity number 3 over here, or entity number 2, 3 of you in the body. And this entity is a power monger wanting to take over ex-Somalian dictator. Okay. That one's in your body. So you have maybe a 15-year-old girl here. And then you've got this, and they push and push the girl, the actual original person out of the body. That's why they have these crack ups, okay? So that's what it is. They have mental crack ups. That's what happens. That's why you see them go down the street. They start to remember the essence of who they are. They get clarity and it's painful. That's what happens, honestly. I believe, from my experience. This is just my experience. Who am I? You can go educate it for yourself. Go test it out for yourself if you think it's good. Go see what happens, but it's not something I'm going to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm not going to try that because that is something I know it. I just know. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so now let's look at the energy. Everybody wants to know different people. Beyonce. Yeah, I know. Beyonce bugs me. I'm sorry that people think she's great. I don't know what to say. I don't care for her, but I kind of see her in a different way. I mean, it's obvious. It's just obvious by their behavior. Let's look at it this way. If you have people like Beyonce, Eminem, I'm trying to think, whoever's out there, and they all do the same things in the same way all the time, how are they creative? How are they creative? They're not creative. They're all doing the same thing. They're doing it because there's purpose behind it, not because they're so fucking great. As I said, Lady Gaga wore out a meat dress, meat shoes. Why do you think the bitch is doing that? Now think about it. It's not because she's a fucking rocket scientist and it's like, oh my God, my fans are going to love this. We actually stood up. Not me, I didn't, but people stood up and went, oh my God, people in the newspaper, she's fucking brilliant. The emperor has no clothes. It's not for attention, it's meat. She's wearing meat. It's not for attention. There's a message. It's meat. They wear meat in your face, hidden in plain sight. Yeah, the eyes go really black, but some people have black eyes, and some people when they're high have black eyes. So yeah, the eyes go really black, but there's a look and a feel, and that's what I was saying. sometimes the people who have the entities in them, they're not even in control of themselves. And so they can only hide behind your energy. Okay. So they can only hide behind your energy, right? So they align themselves with people that they suck the energy dry. That's what they do. When they're performing in front of an audience, they are doing things, if they are of that mindset that pulls the audience's energy to them, and they feed off it. It's an energetic thing, though. It's not something overt. It's not like I bite your arm, I feed. Jack Nicholson is very interesting to me because I told you I had many clients. This is just like personal. Well, it's secondhand from clients, but I had clients, hookers, whatever, call girls, people he hired to have sex with, where he liked to beat them up. And I don't just mean spanky, fun. I mean, beat them up, damage their faces, and pay for surgery kind of thing. So I'm not a huge fan of that. As soon as I found that out and heard that, I'm like, no, I'm not interested in that. Whatever that's about, I don't even want to know. So yeah, The Shining, I think, is probably pretty true to form, but it's a fucking excellent movie. I mean, it's a really, really good movie. But then when you look at The Shining, look at the bloodbath, look at all the ritualistic stuff, but it's fascinating. Red rum, murder. I mean, it's all hidden in plain sight. Now, keep in mind, when you're doing witchcraft on any level, whether it be good or bad or whatever you want to say, and you write it backwards, well, that's more for the bad. If you're trying to banish somebody out of your life, you've all heard of the freezer spell, where you put the name in the freezer. Okay, if you write it backwards, it has more effect. Red rum, murder, get it? So they're teaching you in plain sight in the metaphysical. He wasn't just a psychopath. He probably called something into his whatever, the character did. Obviously, he's a character. But then you look at poor Shelley Duvall now, and she's not right. She's not right. And they had her on that talk show with that, fat asshole doing the talk show, whoever booked him on there, and she's not right. So I'm against that too. Okay, is Michelle Obama a man? Why does it matter, though, if she's a man? If she wants to be a man and hide as a woman, I'm just curious. Yeah, that guy. But I'm saying, if you're going to bring a guest on, why do you want to bring that broken a guest on? It's not a good thing. It's just like, what are you doing? Eyes Wide Shut well, that's like a Austrian, oh my God, Rothschild. I mean, that's common knowledge. I mean, if you look at Eyes Wide Shut, that fucking Nicole Kidman, very true to her own life, gives away her kid, and there goes her kid with the man, the nice man, and then the parents are just like oblivious. Watch that movie again, because it's actually accurate. Rosemary's Baby, accurate. Accurate in a way. I mean, I don't know. I truly think she tried to get out of what she was involved in, and then she got taken out, because you can't ever leave it. Once you do it, you can't leave it. Stanley Kubrick lost his life too. I haven't channeled him. He lost his life. So that was interesting, because there's 20 minutes of the tape on. But see, they put it in everything. Anything movie you look at, I mean, there's tons of metaphysical. I know I've mentioned it before, but the Investment Bureau with Matt Damon, and they want him to be a political figure, and he wants to go off with the ballerina, but they want him to be this, so they keep trying to manipulate him, and they go up into the library, which is reference of the Akashic records, and they keep trying to twist his books, and he goes up in there and figures out how to do it. And the men in black are actually government officials, call them whatever you want, on the astral levels. When they talk about people, sometimes people hear voices, and it's actually government trained energy that is on the astral level. So it's like a radio frequency that certain people are clicked into, and they can hear it. They really can hear it. I mean, it's just so fucked up that we don't see it, that we think everything is freaking normal. It's not normal. All these homeless people, all of these homeless people out here, do you think they got that way just because why? Some of them are just because why? Oh, I was looking up Tracy Twyman today. Speaking, I thought you said Isaac Cappy, but I was looking up Tracy Twyman. And I remember, because I was on Clyde Lewis's show, now that I remember his name, Ground Zero, or yeah, Ground Zero, I think it's called. Anyway, I was on his show the day after she supposedly committed suicide and or was murdered. She was actually murdered. I got it that day. I got it that day, and there was somebody she was working with. I'm not sure where or in what capacity. And that person basically orchestrated this. So she was led right into a trap. So she actually lost her life, okay? She lost her life because she went to check on about what happened with Isaac Cappy, who had what they feel, what he showed me was like hypnotic suggestion, where he didn't understand why he jumped off the bridge, even though he was pushed, but it's actually skull to brain, where they put shit in your head. And when you talk about gang stalking, look at the internet. Look at people. When I first started this channel, okay, and I would be talking astrology or whatever, there were some bitchy ass trolls, only commenting on physical aspects of myself, okay, which is a form of ganging. It was very interesting, like, look at your fucked up, blah, 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 and listing physicalities. So that's a form of stalking. Now take that in a different direction. Take it outside of actually knowing that some assholes at home in their computer eating their Doritos, drunk with beer and hating their life, so they hate you and comment, okay? Take it to a different place. Take it to an intelligent mindset that is either experimenting with human beings or testing what they can do, and take it outside of the physical realm where you can't prove it, but you can hear it. That will drive people crazy, and they do that all the time. Now, the secret to gang stalking, it happens all the time when you tap into energy on the astral level. You can hear people talking, and sometimes you'll say something like, okay, I want to talk to this person, or what happened, and you'll hear something like, some disgusting comment at you, and you're like, okay, well, that's not a good person. That's a tricker person out there, because they're saying, see, gang stalking is very fucking real. It's very fucking real. The more spiritual you get and the more you pray, they will come after you. And sometimes it happens in a way that's just bizarre, where the person doesn't know why. But look on the internet, people feel like, here's the thing. If you're an ugly motherfucker on the internet, right? Why do I feel a need to write that to you on your whatever you're watching? Why don't I just turn off your channel and then say, I can't stand that person, and leave? So what makes that person so vicious and so vile that they feel the need to say something shitty? I mean, I could say something shitty to hello folks on his Instagram, and I don't, because that's not how I want to approach it. That's not going to do anything. So I feel like when people do this, even to criminals, there's another motive behind it. Okay, so when you're talking about Isaac Cappy, I got him, it was interesting. After he died, I did a video on him, but after he died, he was in this is what he showed me. You know those hamsters, and they run across the floor in those round balls, the hamsters, and they play upside down? And they roll across your floor like this. He was in something like that, where he was rolling around and around. So he was very, very fucked up as to what happened to him, and then very, very confused. But he's not that way right now. He absolutely knows what happened to him, and he said their time is coming. That's what I heard today. I was going to do a video on Isaac Cappy, but I got sidetracked, as I said, by Eazy-E. Anyway, Cappy absolutely at this point understands what went on, and it's like he's waiting. Now, here's the interesting thing. He sits in a frame of reference where he can see everything, and he is energetically protected now. He's out of sight of the people on this side that were terrible to him, that did this shit. Okay, so these murderers, okay, he's not in their energy line, so they don't know where he went, and it's confusing them. He's actually been protected and moved off to the side. Okay, so he's over here. They cannot get him because he is over there. So that's what I got there with that. And Tracy Twyman, I have not picked up on her energy today. Like, I did start, actually, I was reading an article on her, and I wanted to understand. I can tell you this. I shouldn't even say it. Anyway, somebody very close to her had a hand in this. Someone very close to her. God always wins. Call it whatever you want. God always wins because we're 70 years on earth and the rest of the time in the spirit. So there you go. The red shoe murders are exactly accurate. Those shoes are the highest form of payment on the planet Earth. And the highest form of payment comes in the leather of a human. That I can't help that. I don't make the rules up for that. But they have so much money and they're so fucking asshole-ish that is a thing, and it's always been a thing. And to act like it's not a thing, and then you see all those fuckers with their red shoes on. Let's look at the picture of the Red Shoe Club. You see the Pope, you see this, you see that. When you look at it, and you have Macaulay Culkin himself saying that an executive told him that when he was a child, and that it was the skin of Heather O'Rourke. That's what he was told. So that kid is saying that kid's fucked up because he is one of them. His family sold him out. He's one of them, and he's in between. He has the breakdowns where he remembers who he was because we are always our soul. We are who we are. And then sometimes, like if you become a drug addict, you lose your soul in a way. Your soul is lost because the drugs take over. But there comes a time when you remember, there's that inkling, that moment where you look through and you're like, you look through that haze and you're like, I know who I am. Macaulay Culkin goes through in and out of that kind of thing. That's what he does do. So it's interesting to watch him. Britney Spears, same way. Different people. Anthony Hopkins creeped me out from day one. Somebody, I heard he was very nice. One of my close friends actually met him on several films and said he was very nice, very generous. I've got to take their word for it because I trust them on that, on that aspect. But when I saw Anthony Hopkins, I mentioned this the other night, do Silence of the Lambs. Okay. When I saw that, the Silence of the Lamb movie, it actually was sickening to my stomach because I knew the way that he was talking. Whoever orchestrated the movie, wrote it from behind the scenes, knew what they were talking about. And that was that Red Chicken restaurant, Red Cow, whatever, where the Sarah Sanders got kicked out of. It was the head cook in that restaurant or the owner that gave advice for that film. And so that was sickening to me because they do it hidden in plain sight. Now, look at these dumb fucking people with fat ass Podesta right there. Look at their red shoes. Does this look anywhere normal to you? Like, these are very wealthy. You've got John Podesta right there. I mean, God, Tony Podesta right there. He's part of the stupid shit. And again, I'm going to show you this. Here we have the artwork of these fucking pedos. And then they're all in red shoes. Like, I mean, come on. What is that about? What on God's earth is that about? But it is about that. So it's very interesting. They all have them. And then, okay, like honestly, I don't even understand this picture. And I'm like really hoping it was Photoshopped, but apparently somebody said this was found in the possession of Jeffrey Epstein, but it was Clinton in a blue dress with red shoes. I'm sorry, it looks fucking absurd. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know if that's real or not. Creepy. It was a painting, creepy painting. That's what it was. It was found in Jeffrey Epstein's thing, a creepy painting of, oh my God, the red dress. Lewinsky's blue dress and the red shoes. Now that one, Linda Tripp, she just died this week. That fucking Linda Tripp, the tattletale. Okay, so let's look at it this way. The way they word it in the paper is Linda Tripp. She was 70, I think, or 73 or 71 or 72, whatever, somewhere in there. She's 70 and maybe a few years up. Anyway, they say in Wikipedia, Linda Tripp died and she befriended Monica Lewinsky and then turned evidence after she found out about the affair. Why don't we reword this differently? The powers that be sent in Linda Tripp, the dumbass, to befriend Monica Lewinsky. Tripp knew the entire time she was going to set that young girl up, all the while talking about like she was doing her a favor because it was an abuse of power, which it was an abuse of power. That's what really happened. And then secondly, ask yourself. So I'm telling you, I'm fucking my boss. My boss is the president. My friends would be like, do tell. But anyway, that's another story. So I don't know if you had a big one, a little one, whatever. So that's where my friends would go with it. And maybe tell me that I shouldn't because Hillary's pretty scary, right? They might say, you know, you might get your ass kicked by that one when she finds out. Anyway, but do you go into your friend's closet and take her blue dress? Like, do you do that? Do you go, here's the dress, we're looking for DNA? I mean, I would just say, I don't know. But see, obviously Linda Tripp was an undercover, whatever, action to do that. What are you doing? And then you're saying the president's abusing the 22-year-old? No, you're abusing her by stealing her fucking dress. Ken Starr, remember him? He fucking kidnapped her in a hotel for 3 days. She didn't get a phone call. She didn't get out of the fucking hotel. What is that? What is he? The genital police? I mean, the sperm police? Like, dude, back off. Like, is it that bad a deal? That's the least of a president's crimes. I don't care who whatever in the Oval Office. That's the least of anybody's crimes, really. Sex is normal. Men do that. Men with power always do that. They're all married and they fuck other women or other men. That's what they do. I mean, maybe there's the odd one that doesn't, which proves the point. But to actually go in anyway, Linda Tripp, she died of cancer. I suspect the cancer was the guilt taking her out or whatever. But that's what she passed from. But I think that she actually literally was a setup plant to go in and get information from Monica. So I don't know what to say about that. You know who comes to mind as I'm talking about that? Oh my God, what the hell is that senator, that little weasel senator? The hell is his name? Remember the girl that went out jogging and she was having the affair with the senator? Do you know who I mean? Oh my God. Can't remember his name, that little weasel. And the little girl was found dead on the jogging trail. Do you know who I mean? I can't see that. But Chandra Levy. Yes, that little girl. Okay, so that to me was some sort of ritual, some sort of deliberate entertainment for somebody. Who was that little fucking, whatever his name was. Oh, that fucking guy. You know who I mean. But yeah, Chandra Levy, that poor thing, she got murdered. Oh, Gary Flowers. Was that his name? Or don't? Yeah, him. Whatever his name was, that was horrible. Midnight, you cannot be out without a mask. You can't go into a facility, especially without a mask. Can I go in my car without a mask? Would that be okay? Could I do that? Or am I in danger of inhaling something in my car by myself? Have you seen those people? And now I just got sidetracked with this. Have you seen those people with their masks on and their gloves driving down the freeway? And I'm like, okay, maybe they just don't want to take their masks and gloves off every time they get out. But if you're in the car by yourself, like, okay, isn't that good? Could be wrong. Yep. Anyhow, so that's interesting. But yeah, Chandra Levy, getting back to that was just a text coming in. Chandra Levy. Now, okay, so when you're looking at these things energetically, there's a lot of different things that happen in politics where these people do things. Ted Kennedy letting his secretary, was she 19 and he's fucking her and everybody in the car is like, oh, cool, we drove off the river. She drowns. Let's not go down and get her because we don't want a scandal. What is that? Number one. Number two, it just happens everywhere. Remember the senator lady that was coming out against the child trafficking? There was an Arizona senator and another woman, Linda something. Can't remember her name. She was just shot in the back of the head and they called it a suicide. That's interesting that you get shot in the back. Gary Condit. Yes, there you go. Jennifer Flowers, Gary Condit. Got it. Chandra Levy and Gary Condit. That's that little weasel. That guy. Yeah. What a weasel. Just looked like a little dweeby weasel. Never liked that guy's face one iota. But I don't think he's the one that did it. I didn't get that impression. But anyway, that senator, she ended up with the two. See, it's just too weird. If you go into politics, this is what happens. Apparently, if you open your mouth, this is what happens. So there you go. Don't speak the truth. See, what that is bullying. So when somebody bullies you, you have to be ready to stand up and say, I'm not going to do it. And you may get shot, but you have to do it. And people are too afraid to do this, okay? They're too afraid to do it. We all have to stand up. That's what we have to do. So that's very interesting. Wait. Oh, I'm laughing. I'm cracking up at the texts I'm getting. I had like 5 texts. You have to wear a mask. Okay, so that's it. Ricky Nelson. Yeah, I haven't done that one. I'm assuming he came from a family like that too, just by background. Tracy Nelson, Ricky Nelson, and I don't know who else was in there. Buck the establishment. Exactly. Go mask free. Is that like not wearing underwear? Like, or not wearing a bra? I'm going to burn my bra. I'm going to burn my mask. Oh God, let's do that. Okay. I felt like Nixon when I did that. My hands out. He was always running around like this. Oh, I gotta stop. All right. David Icke. I watched David Icke's video. It's actually very good, very succinct, and they keep shutting him up. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with David Icke. He's been saying this shit for 30 years, and now they want to cut him down. Why? Because he has a different opinion. He's not allowed to have a cuckoo opinion. You know why? Because people are seeing that his opinions are actually happening. They're actually happening. That's what they're seeing. They're seeing that over the years, what he talked about, the infiltration of things in the food, too much soy in the food, hormonal imbalances, working towards doing certain things, Agenda 21, getting everybody into their homes. That's part of Agenda 21. Getting everybody into their homes in isolation, breaking everything down into little units, okay, little apartments with no space, doing that kind of thing, okay, doing that kind of thing. We're going to see that next because everybody loses their job, and many people will, okay, many people are going to lose their job. Do you think they're going to be able to make it back? No, because they're going to lose their buildings. They're going to lose their livelihoods because of these fuckwads in wherever the fuck they are, making these decisions because they have money. The public doesn't, but they're making their fucking decisions doing this on a pandemic, which they have not proven is a pandemic. Yes, people are dying of a virus. I'm not disputing that. But what happens to the nail salons, the hair salons, the bike repair shops, the little taco stands, the restaurants, the flower shops, the little makeup stores that pay, one of my friends pays $6,000 a month rent for her store space. How is she going to make that up 3 months out? How is she going to make that up? I know a civil war is coming. I know it is. And hey, I'm all for it. I'm probably going to get shot saying that here. When you think about it, they're deliberately doing this. And do you think $1,200 a month is going to be, people are like, oh, we're getting $1,200. What the fuck are you going to do with $1,200? Are you kidding me? Have you gone out shopping? I mean, gas is down cheaper, but you got nowhere to drive because you got to wear a fucking stupid mask. So when you're looking at this situation, when you're looking at this, these businesses, what is it these people are going to do? So just keep this in mind. Once you let your business go because you can't pay $6,000 a month rent, or like my favorite restaurants, $10,000 or $15,000 a month rent, right? And so how do they get the capital to do that again, right? They don't. But see, when you say it's a purge, it's not up to other people in the government to purge people out of their lives' work. It's not. They're stuck on this planet. Some people are 40 and they just put their kids through school and it's going to be their retirement. Now it's not going to happen. So what happens is they lose their incomes, they lose their mortgages, they lose their houses, whatever. And for some, not everybody, but for some, and then they have to go to the government. And can I please have some money? Stand in a bread line. When you stand in a fucking bread line, right? When you stand in a bread line, what does that mean? You stand in a bread line, you are beholden to the people, okay? You are beholden to the people that give you the bread. You owe them. You're now their bitch. So they're not going to let you have a mind of your own or do what you want because they're giving you money. So you better get in line like a good little bitch and do what they say. That's actually what's going to happen. And then people will never speak out about being taken hostage in this particular instance because they don't want to miss eating. It's that simple. So it's just that fucking simple. It's going to be something interesting to see. It's horrific what they're doing. And by the way, I believe you when you say the government, it's a pandemic, but I just want to point something out because now you've just pushed me to a certain point here. Okay, here. Okay, Carol, I hear you. Okay, so I'll change that subject. I didn't say it. Somebody tweeted that to me about that particular thing. Somebody's texting me, they're worried because they don't want me to get in trouble. But I was responding to someone that commented, but let me just say this. As far as numbers go today, okay? I put this up on my Facebook. This is this is the top. I love Carol. She's out there. I'm not saying which Carol on here. Mwah! She's my BFF and has toilet paper for me. She has toilet paper for me, but I got some today. Super excited. I'm hoarding now. No, I'm not. I just got enough toilet paper. But I put this up here on my Facebook this morning. As of today, the top 20 causes of death in 2020, okay? 2,000,005, oh yeah, and I got jelly beans and butt wipes too. I got butt wipes and jelly beans. This is awesome. Not that I want to discuss that on YouTube either, but okay, so heart attacks or coronary artery disease. Almost 10,000 people a day in the world die of that. Okay, 2 million and something die a year of that. Look over here, cirrhosis of the liver. You've got 300,040 people, 1,000 people a day, 1,000, 1,300. HIV AIDS, still in this day, HIV AIDS, 300,010 whatever people. So all of these things, okay, all of these things are happening. Suicide, 200,000 people a year. Now, compared to what's going on now and compared to the flu, 40,000 from the regular flu. So I'm just curious why we have to stop people's businesses. Why can't we take people in one at a time so they can at least try to pay their rent? Why can't we seat people 6 feet apart in restaurants, like this table here, that table there? Because they are still giving coffee out at Starbucks. Now, I have heard they're going to close the major stores that are open. Please do not close In-N-Out Burger or Starbucks. I'm just saying, what am I going to do in the middle of the night, right? Yeah, I know they say it's called flattening the curve. I want to slap the crap out of people that say that. I don't know what curve they're talking about. Maybe what they're talking about, because you can't say, I don't believe in 3 months they know what they're dealing with. So if you don't know what you're dealing with and you're assuming it is a virus, then you are going at it one way, but it doesn't appear to be that way to me. That's all I'm saying. And I'm entitled to my freaking fucking opinion. But I know what they're saying, flatten the curve. That's what they say. I'm not saying you should go out and like breathe up on people, obviously. But here's the thing. If you are sick, stay at home. But I just don't understand, like, I'm not sick. I don't have a temperature. I believe if they tested me, I wouldn't have any antibodies unless everybody has them. Because if I have the antibodies and I'm not sick, therefore it isn't the antibodies or what they're thinking. It is, okay? So scientifically it's corrupt and specious in the argument to begin. Phallus, it's phallic, it's a penis. It's specious in its argument. And so it's just like, I don't know what to say, but I do know that it's an economic strategy. I can see that. I know that people are dying, and I believe HIV AIDS is the same thing. They did that too. Just because you are fucking a bunch of people doesn't mean you're going to get HIV AIDS. I can't. Not everybody gets everything is all I want to say. But they can do what they want. Now, what happens? I want to know from everybody out here, what happens in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, when they say, guess what? Another 4 months in your house, just like Agenda 21. Stay in your house, bitches. Get in your house. What are you going to do? I don't know. Think about that for a second, right? That's what you got to think about. Because when you say no way, but what is it you're going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say it, Carol. I'm not going to say it. But what will people do, really? How many people will just go, okay, I'm good, without questioning it? It drives me crazy. I don't understand. But anyway, I've blabbered enough. But that's me blabbering. I can't help it. Oh, I can't help it. Right. We're going to lick door handles. Is that going to get me in trouble if I say that? That's like a fetish I have. It's a fetish. Yeah, Agenda 21. If you want to learn about that, look at David Icke's channel. I mean, you can go to davidicke.com. That's one place to go Oh yeah, bye-bye economy. Exactly. Now, hold on. Let me just find that. Yeah, David Icke's video is actually on his website, davidicke.com. It's definitely there. So you can watch that. And then Liz Crokin, can never say it right. Go to her Instagram and get the movie. Get it so that you can see it. Let me see. So she has the trailer there. So she has it up. I can't show you that at the moment because I'll get in trouble for copyright, but she's airing it tomorrow apparently for free. So go to her Instagram, go to the link and go and find, oh, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, you know, I don't know much about him. I don't have a clue. I think you all could probably guess my thoughts on him, but I don't know what to say. I mean, it's not that he's bad or not that he's good. He's monotone. So I can't. I need more than monotone. He's got some good points. He's a joker. Yeah, but I mean, he's monotone. He's very but he's older. So I don't know what to say. Okay, so let's look. I want to talk about something totally different. Arrest at Bill Gates' property. Okay, event 201. Well, that's what's happening right now. Google event 201. That's what's happening. Andy Garcia. Wait, why are we bringing up Andy Garcia? I'm like, wait, what? I'm all schizophrenic right now. Okay, so now going back to astrology. Somebody asked me what a stellium was. A stellium is, I'm going to astrology now. I'm totally getting out of that. I'm so sick of politics, but I can't seem to keep my mouth shut, which I find so interesting. Because when I was a kid and I used to see Ted Kennedy on TV, it bothered me. And as a little tiny kid, I had to start saying bad things about Ted Kennedy out of nowhere. So I must be a past life thing that I'm trying to avoid in this life by being a dumb blonde, but it's coming out now. I'm having an issue. I'm being triggered. I'm being triggered. Okay. Oh, Freddie Prinze. Yes, I do remember. Did you say Freddie Prinze Jr., Senior? Was Freddie Prinze the dad, the senior, or the junior? Was he actually a junior as well, or is junior just junior? I do remember Freddie Prinze, Chico and the Man. Yeah, I do. And he killed himself. You know what? That was probably voice to skull technology at that time, because I just don't understand why he would do that. I do remember that. He lived for like 2 days or something. That was very sad, that he would live. Like, do that to his beautiful self, really get on camera, push for his people, and then do that. So it just tells you there's something rotten in Denmark back there. Not that there's anything rotten in Denmark. I don't want to get hit up by the Denmark people. Okay, so in astrology, you guys asked me what a stellium is. A stellium is 4 or more planets in the same sign, in the same house conjunct. They're traveling together, 4 or more. So whatever sign they're in, like when I did Eazy-E, he had a stellium in Virgo, without giving it away, but he did. He had Sun, Venus, Pluto, and Uranus all in Virgo, sitting on top of each other like that. So that's a stellium. It can be in any house, but it's 4 or more planets in the same sign. So that's what that is. Now, somebody wanted to talk about retrograde. So I'm going to talk about retrograde for a quick second. Anytime a planet is retrograde, it gives the appearance of going backwards in the sky. So I just realized, oh God, I'm one of those people that needs, I need somebody talking to me so I don't get arrested. That's Carol. She's my person that comes in when I'm in some kind of public thing, so I don't get my ass kicked off of everything and just strike me as funny. I'm now that person that can't be trusted in public because I go off on tangents. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. It just caught my head. Okay, so a retrograde planet is a planet. God bless Carol. See, Carol, you got fans. Carol got fans out there. She texts me over here and says, please don't talk about that. Oh God. She does the one thing my entire family couldn't do. She makes me be quiet. That's funny. I should let them know. I should have married Carol. Oh God. Oh God, I'm sorry. Oh, you don't see the humor? All right. Having a little talk with myself. Okay, so anyway, retrograde planets are basically a do-over, okay? So they are a do-over in life. So when you have retrograde planets, you're coming in specifically to work on the energy of that planet and the sign and the house placement and the aspects, obviously. But you are coming specifically to work on the energy of that planet and to really focus on it, okay? So you're really focusing. It has both good and bad points, but like with Mercury retrograde, okay? With something like Mercury retrograde, and when people say, oh, it's retrograde, I'm scared to go out, I'm terrified. Mercury retrograde in the chart, and I say this all the time, in the chart of babies who are born with Mercury retrograde, those babies are more spiritual, okay? Because Mercury actually going backwards takes it out of the material into the spiritual. And so you are learning from a spiritual point of view. You are actually learning whatever sign your Mercury's in, okay? So, okay, let's do that. Did we do Mercury yet? We did Sun and we did, no, we did Moon and we did we do Mercury? Oh, we did Mercury. Yes, we did. We did Venus and we did Mars. Okay, let's do Saturn. Let's do that. Let's do that. What's your Saturn in? Because Saturn is considered like the daddy figure of the astrology, okay? So it's the daddy planet, all right? So it is like the one that says, come on, chop, chop. You need to come back in and do your homework. No more screwing off. It's the one that reins you in. Sorry, fix my hair there. It's the one that reins you in and makes you focus on your path. Where is Saturn placed? Embrace your Saturn. It can be scary. Saturn retrograde's interesting because Saturn retrograde is very much, okay, indicative of the father. Oh, there goes Andrew. I just saw Scorpio up there. I'm like, I know Andrew's little side face. I can see it right there. He's like, Scorpio. Sorry, that struck me as funny. I'm like, what? What with the Scorpio? And I'm like, oh yeah, Saturn in Scorpio. I have Neptune in Scorpio. Well, Saturn is a generational thing to begin with, okay? So Saturn, when it whatever sign it's in, it is your karmic job or responsibility. Now, when it's retrograde, this speaks more, depending on the house and the placement and the sign, speaks more to the fact that you didn't get the guidance you needed, okay? You did not get the guidance you needed in life, okay? Because the father figure, the Saturn figure, so the authority figure, was removed somewhere in your life, whether it be energetically, emotionally, they don't want to be bothered, whatever it is. Each Saturn has a job karmically in a generational sense. So as the world shifts, okay, as the world shifts, Saturn goes through its signs and then it shifts with the world structure. So we now have just gone from Saturn in Capricorn to Aquarius. All right. So this shit's going on when we transfer from Capricorn to Aquarius, and we're going to retrograde back in. So that into Capricorn. So that's going to be very interesting. This is what's happening right now. So this generation of people that will continue on with Saturn in Aquarius will be the end product of what has started with Saturn in Capricorn. So the buildup like that. So for example, my generation of people, which is Saturn in freaking Pisces, and I'll go more in, well, I'll wait that to the end. I'll explain that to the end. But anyway, each generation has their Saturn in particular signs. So it's generational, and then it's specific to the chart depending on where it's placed, what degree it's in, and what planets are aspecting it. Okay, so it's that way. So let's start with Saturn in Aries, because I always got to go with the first sign of the natural wheel of the zodiac, and that is Aries. So Saturn in Aries, word from my mom. Excuse me, we have a mom text. Speaking of Saturn, she meant Saturn in the mood. I'm going to read it out loud. Wait, she comes on every day for free cheering me up. That's so cute. Okay. I love Estelle's text because Estelle is texting from her mom and then forwarding the text to me. So that's Mom Jana. I'm going to call her that now. She's now my mom. She now has 2 blonde daughters, one that didn't come out of her. So I saved her all the weight gain. So I should actually get more gifts at Christmas, but that's besides the point. Okay, I'm kidding. She loves Estelle. and Estelle's sister. That's a good thing. Very good. But I'm the other daughter, the one that invited herself in. Okay, so anyway, Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn in Aries. Saturn in Aries is, first of all, Saturn is, how do I want to word this? Typically ruled, sign it rules is Capricorn. Saturn in Aries brings a different twist on that. The karma of a person, in my opinion, with Saturn in Aries is to learn how to transfer their anger and to step outside of it and to become productive with it. So a lot of the problem with Saturn in Aries is the people do not know where their anger comes from or how to release it. And it's usually directly connected to the father or the father figure. It could be the grandfather, whatever, but the male paternal person. So that's the energy of Saturn in Aries. Also keep in mind, Saturn in Aries is starting a new karmic cycle. So they are coming in and were probably quite good at what they did in prior lifetimes, Saturn-wise, and then scoop up, boom, Saturn in Aries. What happens to them? They have to start this new cycle. So they're not as adept and often feel quite lost on the earth, which promotes more anger. It is a generation of kids when they come in under Saturn in Aries, that have to learn how to actually display their anger, which means they may be born as a unit, as groups of people into situations where anger is not acceptable. So, for example, not acceptable like in a religious sense, in a family sense. So they need to learn to get it. If it's not harnessed in a proper way with an Saturn in Aries, it will manifest in destructive ways to the person that owns the Saturn in Aries, okay? So for them, they have to learn how to express their anger, and they have to learn to move through their anger. Karmically, this Saturn is an impatient one. Usually Saturn can wait for months on end to get where it needs to go and give you 5,000 different reasons and tries and do-overs and all kinds of things. Saturn in Aries is like, no, chop, chop, hurry up. Because something about this lifetime for the kid or the person born with Saturn in Aries has not manifested in past lives, and they have not challenged themselves. So it's about challenging themselves, okay? Challenging themselves. So it's a sign in its placement in Aries is anger provoking, shifting karmically to a new focus in this life. Okay, somebody says adopt them. No more babies, especially adult ones. I think that's April saying that. I'm like, I can't adopt any more kids. My grown-ass kids are not happy right now. But Saturn in Aries is changing its function in a different direction. So they've come from past lives where their focus has been on some level. Maybe they've taken it for granted and it's been a little bit complacent, like they've been able to do it and they've been able to complete karma. This is a new cycle. They're being moved over here, and over here, they have to do what they have to do. So it causes, Saturn in Aries in the 8th is a hell of a position. It causes an undercurrent of anger. So that's with Saturn in Aries, okay? So that's very, very interesting. Saturn in Taurus, the second house, the natural wheel of the zodiac, is an entirely different spin on it. Okay, Saturn in Taurus is interesting because the karma with Saturn in Taurus is to build the life they want through using their own efforts. That's what it actually is. So people with Saturn in Taurus have maybe been reliant on other people in past lifetimes, okay? So they've relied on, I don't know, husbands, wives, family money, trust funds, robbing people's houses, whatever it is. They've done that. In this life, when they come in with Saturn in Taurus is saying, you've got a gift, you've got a skill, you've got a brain, now do something with it. So Saturn in Taurus from very early on starts thinking about, how am I going to build? I'm going to build something, and how am I going to do it? So it's kind of interesting with Saturn and Taurus. It can be very difficult if they do not get the reward for their building that they expect, okay? So there's reward and then there's expectation. So a Saturn in Taurus is like, well, I've done all of this. And so the key to Saturn in Taurus is that they need to be steadily patient, which Tauruses can be, but they're also like, if you blow them up, they can get damn angry at you, right? But Saturn in Taurus needs to be more along the lines of waiting for the long range goal to see what it comes. So when they least expect it, their Saturn opens up for them and they are able to excel from what they build through their own effort. So that is Saturn in Taurus. And then we get freaking Saturn in Gemini. Let's see if I'm in trouble over here. No, I'm not in trouble right now. I'm like, what have I done? I haven't done anything right now. I'm being really, really good. I need a drink and I don't drink, okay? That's how good I am being. But Saturn in Gemini is a different kind of a Saturn, because Saturn in and of itself constricts the sign, all the signs that it's in. And Saturn is cautious in its expression. It can be very enlightening, but it's cautious. And so the cautiousness of Saturn in Gemini, I actually think is a good combination, because Gemini, think of it, they tend to speak and say shit and run around and not really understand what they're doing. Saturn in Gemini is saying, wait, we've had these problems before. I'm probably going to end up with Saturn in Gemini in the next life. Thanks, Carol. You telling the astrology people over there? If you bring this one back with Saturn in Gemini. Saturn in Gemini in a past life has come from communicating in a way that maybe wasn't structured. So just communicating, no structure, no form, no whatever. In this life, Saturn is saying communications, knowledge, and learning. Build your portfolio. Speak your portfolio. Use your information to teach, to learn, to structure. So Saturn in Gemini, I could see people being teachers and a lot of things like that. Actually, it's not a bad sign to be in, okay? Because the expression is the communication. The expression is teach with the communication what you've learned. Don't be frivolous with it. So it's a good pairing, actually, Saturn and Gemini. I mean, it might be annoying to the person that owns it if they can't articulate what they're doing, which is another thing that I would say, because it's either with the Mercury or with the Saturn, and it could be in Gemini, or one of the nodes where we find out people have some speech elements that they have to overcome, because it's all about the communication and therefore the lack of. So Saturn in Gemini, I think, would make a very good speaking, teaching in this lifetime, because Saturn came in to say structure it, function it, streamline it. So Saturn in Gemini doesn't seem so bad, but I don't own that, so it's good. Saturn in Cancer. Now, I am familiar with this big time. Saturn in Cancer is very interesting, because Cancer, okay, Cancer is a sign of family and all of that. Saturn restricts. So it restricts the family connection. So a lot of your Saturns in Cancer people are born into families where one or the other parent is missing, either due to like war or some sort of family issue. Saturn in Cancer will also bring about things like adoption, giving up children, bringing children in, because it is about structuring your family. And there's huge karma within the context of the family as well. So it's a group thing with Saturn in Cancer, meaning generational thing with the people born. So when Saturn hits Cancer, it really affects the life and the reaction of family and children. So people with Saturn in Cancer can devote their life to parenting everybody, or devote their life to looking for family and family structure, or to adoption, or anything along those lines. Like it's It's a give or take, but they will often, that will be their cross to bear, will be their family. The Saturn in Cancer to me is a little bit of a difficult one because, again, you have Saturn and it's restrictive, and then you have Cancer that gets sensitive and hides. So you have a restrictive hider here. So for them to follow their path, they have to actually let go of certain okay. I'm just being told that my astrologer mentor taught me well. Like laughing taught you well. There you go. That's very true. He did teach me well. I was taught well by just absolutely amazing taught by, because it's my career. So obviously I learned it and it's beautiful. But getting back to Saturn in Cancer, Saturn in Cancer, the karma with that will be learning how to resolve the family issues that come from the past into this life. So all of the family structure from past lives to this life, okay? So it's a difficult one because there could be people who have in past lives given up kids for adoption, not had kids, taken the burden on of their family, 15 kids in a past life, like raising their parents' kids, and then in this life, no kids, and then what does society think? So it's a huge thing like this that they have to maneuver through, but they can do it. But it's very, very, it's emotionally trying, but if they open up their emotions and just walk through it, they'll open up that Saturn and they'll be able to clear that in this life. That's what I feel with it. Now, on to Saturn in Leo, Saturn in my sign. Saturn in Leo. Okay, so Saturn in Leo is very interesting because it is the beginning of the expression of creativity for the person with Saturn in Leo. So whatever it is they're going to do in this life, whether they be a nurse, a dog walker, a restaurant person, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is they're going to do, it's going to be an expression of their soul's creative energy. It may not be what you consider creative, but this is a beginning lifetime where they are allowed to follow a creative path. But here's the catch, the caveat to that. Can their ego allow them to do it without anybody around them applauding them for following their life path? And I'm going to say no. That's the struggle. So they're going to be born into a family where creativity is not respected or thought of as good, or like, yeah, you want to be a painter, go be a painter, shut up and go do it. But no, you're going to be a doctor. So the people with Saturn in Leo have to get a sense of self and step into it as far as their own creative expression. And it will go against pretty much everybody in their life. So they're going to be like, this is the struggle with it. So Saturn in Leo has that struggle. And through the expression of their own creative energy, they are going to learn how to have a sense of self. So a sense of, I guess basically, I don't want to use the word ego, but self-esteem through their own creative expression. So Saturn in Leo is learning just that, but it's not until they unlock their own creative ability going against the power structure around them. Okay, so it's kind of like that. Saturn in Virgo. Now this is a tricky one, this Saturn in Virgo, these people, these Saturn Virgo people, these people with their nonsense. No offense, Saturn and Virgos, but Saturn in Virgo is interesting because Saturn and Virgo go together, earth and earth kind of energy. But Saturn in Virgo is asking them to take their studies where Saturn in Gemini asks them to communicate and teach. Saturn in Virgo is saying, become the expert at what it is you do. You could be a mechanic. I met actually some mechanics with Saturn in Virgo long time ago. But Saturn in Virgo, okay, teaches them to focus their energy. So the energy and the learning structure of Saturn in Virgo could be Saturn in the 6th too, connected to the work, the focus on the work, the focus on facilitating intellectual knowledge, perfecting a skill, and performance of the skill, okay? Wait. People got to stop making me laugh. Anyway, the Saturn in Virgo does that, but here's the catch with Saturn in Virgo. Saturn in Virgo never feels ready to step out. Okay, you have Saturn in, oh, there's Andrew with Saturn in the 6th. Okay, that's a good point, because Saturn in the 6th is like having Saturn in Virgo, even though it's in a different sign. So the house placement, the planets aspecting the Saturn, and then the sign Saturn is in, and the degree, all of that, but we can't do all of that right now. But Saturn in Virgo never feels like they're ready to step on the stage. So they have to go back and research some more. So their trick in this lifetime is to actually step forward and step on stage. So to do the work that they've trained for, they need to do it, but they won't. They'll tell you why they're not ready. They'll tell you, I'm not ready because I don't have any shoes. I'm not ready because I didn't eat breakfast. I'm not ready because I didn't do any of this. That's what they will tell you. They will say, I am not ready. So Saturn has to be ready, okay? So Saturn has to be ready. Saturn in Virgo must take that chance and risk being made fun of or critiqued and step out with their knowledge. That's their big thing. But you can get a lot of good doctors. You can get a lot of real perfectionistic people. It's just that first step onto the stage, meaning their career. So then we have Saturn in Leo. Hold on. Somebody was just suspended. Yes. Oops. I'm like, somebody was suspended on Twitter. I already know who that is. And yes, they were. Okay. So Saturn in Libra. Saturn in Libra is very interesting because Saturn in Libra is telling us they are born into a circumstance that is not balanced, and it is not balanced in a very unbalanced, unfair way. So the person with Saturn in Libra sees the whole world as an expression of fairness. So Saturn in Libra steps into the world knowing that they need to set the world straight when it comes to imbalance. So you will get a lot of your freedom fighters, your people that speak up for other people. But it's because what they came into in this life is very chaotic. So you could consider this people born into circumstances like what's going on right now, people born like in the Vietnam War, where some kind of circumstance, that wouldn't be the time frame, but people born in situations where they come into either a country, a family, a situation that's completely like topsy-turvy. And so they have to fight their way out of that in an intellectual sense in order to structure it correctly. You will also see people with Saturn in Libra doing very well to furnish the needs and goodwill towards other people. So it's very much that expression, like if you need help, we need to make you look a certain way, feel a certain way. Your Saturn and Libra people are very empathic to the feelings of other people. So they kind of come in to do that, but they do it in a way where it's coming from understanding how unfair or unjust or upside down or fucked up the world is. Their family and then the world, their country and their environment. So it's kind of like that because again, it's generational. So there's groups of souls that come in order to express these things, to work on these things, okay? So then we go to Saturn in Scorpio. Yes. Yeah, Saturn in Libra, right? It came, exactly. So exactly. Then they, right. Okay. That's right. Vietnam War. I can't even remember when I was a baby. I don't remember. Okay. So Saturn in Scorpio. Now Saturn in Scorpio is interesting because Saturn in Scorpio is the repercussion. Okay. All of the people with Saturn in Scorpio is the repercussion of the generation prior to it that presented with reproductive and life and death issues. So the concept of society prior to Saturn in Scorpio, okay, so whoever that group of people is, the structure in whatever time in history, the Saturn in Scorpio people come in with a different viewpoint when it comes to reproduction, when it comes to sex, and when it comes to the expression of life and death. So these are philosophers in that area of life. So they come in to understand that, and it's all undercurrent. So this group of people with Saturn, now remember, Saturn likes to live in Capricorn, or I mean Capricorn, whatever, its ruling sign is Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Blah, let me say it backwards. So it's used to being pretty much calculating and climbing. When it comes into Scorpio, nothing presents itself in the obvious way. Nothing is in the obvious upfront on the kitchen table. It's all underneath, undercurrent. So your Saturn in Scorpio people understand the manifestation of energy through reproduction, sexual energy, and life and death issues. So it comes in like that. Saturn in the 8th house, which I have, and there's somebody else had it over there in Aries, Saturn in Aries in the 8th. But these things, look what people with Saturn in the 8th or Saturn in Scorpio do. Psychics, mediums, abused children, coming from homes where that's an issue, reproductive, adopted, the issue of children and children in environments like that, Saturn in the 8th. They can also come in like Saturn in the 2nd, Saturn in the 8th, Taurus, Scorpio axis. Both of those signs can come in really, really rich or really, really poor, which is using the energy undercurrent of really, really rich and really, really poor. So Saturn in the 8th is like Saturn in Scorpio. These people come to transcend it, but these are people that work with mediums, the dead. It's probably, I'd have to actually look it up in history. I can't go back that far in my head, but I'd have to look up to when the first mediums started to present themselves throughout time, like Nostradamus. Before that, whoever, if they had elements of this, and I don't even know how to look that up because there weren't that many records kept, but Saturn is that. It has to do with all things that go on behind the scenes. Look at reproduction is behind the scenes. Like when you look at a body, you're not going, yeah, you can make a human in that. You know, it's not really what you're doing. You're just probably going to have sex and not thinking about the other things that are combined underneath. So Saturn in Scorpio does that. Life and death, psychics, mediums, tarot card readers, children, Saturn, karmic responsibility for those that have sexual issues when it's placed in the 8th. Those that have been abused. So it's interesting. I mean, it can go any way. It can be lighter, easier, lighter, whatever. It can be also an understanding in a sexual way of different generational aspects. So they can be very much the record takers of like, well, when people were born in the 20s, they did this. And when they were born in the 40s, they did this. And when they were born in the 60s, they did this. Saturn in Scorpio in the 6th is an interesting one because that is somebody that could actually go into medical work. Because remember, Scorpio are your doctors, whereas Virgo is your researchers and your technicians. The Scorpio and Saturn could be karmic responsibility in medical sense like that. So in the 6th house, it could be something along those lines, or it could mean that you actually come in with reproductive issues yourself and you focus on that kind of thing. So from that, we go to Saturn in Sagittarius. Seems like a lot more fun to me because Saturn does well in the sign of Sag because Jupiter's ruling planet. These two are kind of combined in a certain way. Once you unlock your Saturn, the energy of Sagittarius can fully express itself. But Saturn in Sag is interesting because these are definitely a fun generation, and it's the generation of people. Now, it's a fun generation. It's an immature generation. Don't get mad at me for saying that. And it is a generation of people that have had to take on the burden of all the other generations prior to it and reteach themselves how to function on the planet because it doesn't compute in their head. So the Saturn in Sagittarius, okay, do not, wait, what's that say? But Saturn, I can't even read what that said. Saturn in Sag basically has come in to re-identify their karmic path through their own belief system. So this is why they go off on tangents, all of them. They go off on many different tangents, many different learning things, but they are learning how to live this life the way they choose. So Saturn says karmically go out and find yourself. Sagittarius says, I don't know who the hell I am because I change faces every day. Because Sagittarius are fun that way. They're fun. Then Sag says, okay, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to study this. And I don't agree with that. So the philosophy over here with the philosophy that came prior to it, which way do we go with it? So Saturn in Sag is restructuring, and they're going to make you eat it whether you like it or not. Because one thing about a Sagittarius, when they make their mind up to something, they're not going to change it. They're just going to do it with a big smile and a goofy, walk through the house. But that's what they do. So Saturn in Sag is about opening up to different ideas and the acceptance from those around them, which can be very struggle. They can feel very lost in their own kind of orbit when they don't know what it is that they need to do, because it doesn't make sense to the people that came before, generally the generations before. And karmically in the most recent past life, Saturn in Sag is learning how to do things in a different way against the grain through their own research. So they're kind of the scientists without ever acknowledging that, because they will start to look at things. They're the ones that invented all of these different ways of thinking and doing work. Like there used to be traditional 9 to 5. Okay. So Saturn in Sag comes in and goes, oh, I'm not doing that. I got a bar to go to. I got to go, the gym, whatever the hell I got to do. So Saturn in Sag says, no, I'm going to learn to work like this. So they come in a different way, and they piss people off because they do it in a much more fun and easy way as they gallop through their life like this. And people go, wait, that's not how you work. Saturn is Sag is like, that is how I work. Deal with it. So they learn it, but they learn it. Now, I see a lot of people have Saturn in the first house, and I'm going to discuss that after I finish the rest of the other stuff. Okay, so Saturn in Sag basically is retraining their karmic path in this life to look at it in an unstructured yet structured way. So it's a different kind of philosophy. That's their karma. So it's more open-ended. So they piss people off. So then we go to Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn, of course, lives in its happy place. That's where it is. It's a happy, happy thing. Here's the thing with Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn has some serious karma when they come onto the planet. So their karma is to clean up situations from a past life that were left undone. And they often will find themselves, even though it's very powerful like that, they will often find themselves in several different scenarios where they are cleaning up the energy in past lives. So they are cleaning it up. Things that happened and things that were broken. So they are often born into families where most likely the first 20 to 21 years of their life are put in a very serious way for them. And they learn through the seriousness of their environment what it is they need to do in order to free themselves from it. So it's usually a little bit difficult on an emotional level for them to deal with things over here in their early childhood. And so as they grow into adulthood and hit their early 20s, they start to do everything they can to go down a different way. But here's the key. If they don't acknowledge what happened there and they don't forgive what happened there, they don't go on over here. So Saturn in Capricorn carries with it the karma, guilt, and shame of generations and lifetimes a long time before. So they have to learn, most importantly, to let go of guilt and shame and all of these things immediately from early childhood. They have to let go of it. Of course, no one's going to tell them that, because they're probably, unless their mother's an astrologer, father, whatever, they're not going to tell them that. So they need to focus on that. So it's about letting go of that. So it's actually really quite an interesting karma, because it takes a strong soul to come in and do that. And I'm talking about the groups of people that come in under that sign. Under that Saturn sign. So it's, again, generational, but it's the groups of them. And now we have Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is happening right the fuck now. This world is Saturn in Aquarius. What does Aquarius do? What does Aquarius do? Well, Aquarius's ruling planet is Uranus. What is Uranus? It's untamed, wild electric energy. Saturn in Aquarius is karmically, we are going to take all of the energy on the planet Earth. We're going to plug the cord in and watch and cut it with scissors and watch what happens all around us as everybody gets electrocuted. And then we're going to come in and we're going to tell you how we can fix you after we've electrocuted you. So it is in fact bringing in a new karmic path. It's a very serious one, and it's one that is more focused on energy being electrical, currency, energetic. So it's all things energetic. It's all things intellectual. It's all things observed and detached. It's all things structured in such a different way that it's very uncomfortable from the prior generation of tradition. So Saturn in Capricorn over here is like, but we have tradition. Kind of like in the British courts where they wear those fucked up wigs, when these men wear these wigs and no underwear under their robes. That shit, that's our tradition. Saturn in Aquarius comes in and goes, I just spat. Oh my God, it's a good thing you don't need a mask here. I'm on the phone. Anyway, Saturn in Aquarius comes in and they're like, we're going to change this because number one, electricity cannot be contained. We can put it in a wire, we can put it through a plug. But if one little piece of it isn't working in harmony, it basically either blows the fuse, catches fire, or causes some kind of electric shock. And that's exactly what Saturn in Aquarius is doing right now. Welcome. That's what it's doing. So yeah. Yeah, I'm still on. I'm still blathering. So then we have Saturn in Pisces. Now that's my generation. That generation, what can I say about my people of Saturn in Pisces? Saturn in Pisces comes in karmically, okay, karmically, basically, how do I want to word this? Saturn in Pisces comes in karmically to take on the problems of that generation, okay, the problems of that generation, and to basically mirror, how do I want to call that? They mirror the sorrow and the spirit and the human. So you will get people with Saturn in Pisces that are focused on helping people no matter what. They're going to help, or they're going to be drug addicts no matter what. And so they are the middle of that generation. They're in the middle, but they are the saviors or the victims. So they are going to save the world with their nonsense, or they're just going to say, fuck it, I give up, I'm going to shoot up. That's it. That's Saturn in Pisces. It's very much that. Now, Saturn in Pisces also comes in with a karmic responsibility towards being a savior or a victim. Now, again, depends on the placement of Saturn in the houses and the aspects to other planets to and from and the degrees. Saturn in Pisces is coming in, usually in their lifetime. They will be a victim and they will be a savior, or they will be a savior and then they will be a victim. So it's this 12th, 6th house type of energy that comes in. So they will be doing that in this life. Their whole life is kind of a, now my eye's twitching. This whole, my eye always twitches. I'm like, oh my God, that's too close to home. Eyes twitching. So they come in with karma towards saving, but in order to save somebody, in order to truly understand it, you cannot learn it. Wait, they're wise, old, and said to shut your mouth. Okay, I have no idea what that is. Okay, so they come in, okay, and they have to, on some level, experience being a victim in order to save. So in order to know, not learn in school, not read about it, but to know it, they will live some sort of experience in early childhood, most likely. It could be anything. They could have like an alcoholic father. They could be a victim of child abuse. They could be in the middle of being pulled out of their home by social services for a mistake. They could be given to the wrong home. They could be in foster care, whatever. And then they will turn around later in life, understanding this at a core level, Saturn, and they will use the knowledge to become then the savior to other people in similar circumstances. So you will find that. Or they will just become drug addicts. They will either be very, very straight-laced or very, very drug addicts. I found with Saturn in Pisces, it's one or the other. It's very hard for them to get to middle ground. So the pendulum swings on both ends like this. So I wanted to just say Saturn in the first house, because I saw a lot of those people, but Saturn in the first house is interesting. This was also taught to me by my first mentor, and I'm going to name him on here, and it was Brian. Taught me 36 years ago, this nonsense, not nonsense, my career. But the Saturn in the first house, one of the first lessons I learned with this, Saturn in the first house is karmically, okay, coming into this life through their own actions in the most recent past life by ending that life quickly. So they ended that life quickly in the most recent past life, jumped into this life to correct it, and come in with the undercurrent of feeling like, I don't want to be here again. So they know that whatever happened, even if it was by, like, let's say you were a teenager racing, like doing street racing, and you accidentally killed yourself because you were going 90 down some street and you hit some other idiot coming at you. So you ended your life at 17, okay? You ended your life at 17 and you jumped out of your body and you went, damn. It wasn't suicide, but it was through some actions that you orchestrated. You put yourself in that car club, you did whatever. So then you popped right back in, Saturn in the first. You came in immediately karmically right after that. You didn't wait 4,500 years. You're like, screw this, I'm coming right in. So Saturn in the first house says you have past life karma, and your only goal for the first 42 years of your life is to not take yourself off the planet. Obviously, if you have it in opposition to Pluto, that's a more scary thing. If you have Neptune conjunct it, more scary thing. But if it's just sitting in your first house, and if it's retrograde, that could be like really overwhelmingly trying not to do the same thing again. So if you know a first house Saturn person, all they have to know is that when they get to their midlife, their life opens up for them tremendously, opens up hugely, and they become very successful and very, very like happy and grounded because they are working off the karma from the most recent past life in the first part of this life. And it's right there in the chart. And so that's what I would say. Okay, you guys, that is my thing for the evening. And now guess where I'm going to go? I'm going to go edit that Easy E video and put it up tonight. This is my mission. So Pluto, Moon, Venus. Yes, exactly. So I will talk to you guys soon. I will see you soon. And hopefully it's not raining in the morning. Oh, wait, before we go. The homeless. I'm still worried about the homeless. So I think it's raining. I don't even know where they are outside. I don't usually worry about this, but it's been so quiet in my neighborhood and all down the streets. I don't see as many. So it's been very, very quiet. I think in order to get over the fact that we have to wear masks, I don't know what to say to that, but anyway, we have to wear masks. I actually think we should pray for our freedom. That's what we should be praying for tonight. All of us pray for the elevation of energy and all of the people, and especially the homeless, because I really don't know where they are. They've just disappeared. That's concerning to me. So that they're safe and not in the rain. At least in my state, it's raining, or in SoCal. But I think we should pray for our freedom and the strength to accept the fact that our freedom is coming right now, but not tomorrow, because you have to wear a mask. And you should probably wear it in your car because God knows you're going to get infected in there with your gloves on. You realize, I'm just saying, you just really realize that like if we were around when Robert Blake was doing his nonsense, they did find duct tape, a mask, and gloves in his car and a shovel. And like they took that as evidence, but now we're all running around in masks and a glove. So it's like really weird. That just struck me as funny, right? So let's pray to elevate the energy up and for freedom, literally soul freedom. I think that's a good word. So what we can say too is, I am abundantly healthy, happy, and joyous now. I am abundantly healthy and happy and joyous now, or whatever you want to put in the middle there, but put the word healthy. I'm going to put, I am abundantly happy, healthy, joyous, and fucking free now to do whatever the fuck I want now. That's what I'm going to say. That is what I'm going to say. So that is my thinking, and I think we can do that. Sorry, I'm cracking up. I'm having flashbacks. I feel like I'm on the prison planet. I now know this is the prison planet. Welcome to Earth. This is what I want to do. When I get up, beamed up to the spaceship with Kirk and Spock, I'm hoping this comes soon. I'm going to be on my microphone. I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be like, and when I was living on the prison planet, this was happening. I really want to do that. Prison planet Earth. Yes. Prison planet Earth. I really do believe that, though. I just believe it before this happened too. So we're just going to pray for our freedom. We're all healthy. We really are all healthy. I don't think this should be an issue anymore. I mean, unless you're going to go get hit by a car because somebody can't see while they're driving and they're wearing their masks and scratching their eyes with their gloves. Don't forget to take your gloves off when you get into your car. You cannot keep those gloves on. Remember? Because if you touch out there, you got to take them off in here. Just saying. Okay, bye. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Mwah.